Good morning and welcome to Creative Marketing TV. My name is Susan Joy Schlief, and I have a very special guest today, Rick Cooper, who is my social media coach and mentor. Rick, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Susan. Glad to be here.
Thanks. Well, Rick is going to talk about something, since it's January, I figured it's a good time to focus on the importance of creating a plan for your social media, so you're not just going out there and chatting and kind of doing whatever comes through your news feed. And Rick has really taught me a lot about that, about how to plan what I'm going to do in social media, how to keep track of what I'm doing. So Rick, to get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you became an expert in social media and why people should pay attention to what you have to say about it.
Absolutely. Well, I was active on social media sites when they first launched. I think one of the first ones that people might remember would be MySpace, which goes many years back. I launched my own business back in 2003. And so MySpace was active at the time, and I participated there. And I experimented with a lot of early social media sites prior to some of the big ones like Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And so I always looked at social media sites as a way to connect and develop relationships with people, because you can meet people offline and you can meet people online. And I think you want to find ways that you can connect and communicate and build relationships with people. And I think oftentimes people underestimate the value of social media. I mean, prior to social media, you really couldn't find that much information about most people. And today you can find just about anything that you'd want to know about people on social media sites. And that's a powerful tool for business owners. It's a powerful tool for prospecting, finding clients, finding potential joint venture partners. And so I grasped the idea instantly of how powerful social media sites were, and I've always worked to leverage it in my business. And I do a lot of training. I train clients on skills and strategies to leverage social media. And so I think there's a huge opportunity that's available for small business owners, entrepreneurs, and sales professionals who are looking at social media as a way to reach more people.
Thanks, Rick. Sorry, I had myself muted there. I was trying to fix my camera, which still seems like it's not quite right, but thank you. That's, I know with your background in business and everything, that's something that you've always been looking at, is how to make social media work for your business, not
Right.
just to be social. So,
Right.
So what are what's the first step that our audience of mostly entrepreneurs and professionals and small business owners, what's the first step you'd recommend they should take to improve their social media marketing for 2016?
Well, I think first of all, it's to be intentional. It's to set some goals around social media. What is it that you want to accomplish on social media? And also, how much communication do you want? I think one of the key factors that can help drive your activities on social media is determining how many posts that you want to make each day on social media sites. If you're not intentional, then you're probably not going to be taking the right actions that's going to get you out there communicating with people on a regular basis. And what I find oftentimes is that people struggle because they're not taking the time to communicate with people. They're not taking time to post information out there on sites. In fact, oftentimes they will disappear from social media for a period of time. They might disappear for a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple months, and in the process of that, they're disappearing, and people don't know they're out there. And I think one of the things you want to think about with social media creates the opportunity to create top of mind awareness. See, out of sight is out of mind. Out of sight is out of mind. Oftentimes, people are hearing messages from entrepreneurs, small business owners, marketers, and if they don't hear you and if they hear your competitor, they're much more likely to refer them to your competitor than to you. So you want to be out there and visible. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're promoting all the time. It just means you need to be visible and communicating all the time.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I feel like you're talking directly to me on that, because I'm one of those people that disappears sometimes for a couple of days. I just get overwhelmed with too much to do. So,
yep, absolutely.
So how do you keep track and keep reminding yourself, and like, I know you talk about having a list of tasks that you do every time. How can that help people know, okay, I haven't done these tasks yet for today on social media. I need to get out there and do them.
Right. Good question.
What do you recommend?
Well, we'll talk about that in a moment.
Okay.
I just want to mention first that I recommend doing some type of social media automation, and we can go into that in more detail in a few minutes. But social media automation allows you to be able to schedule posts over time, so you always have something posting on different sites. I think that's one thing that creates an additional comfort level in knowing that you always have something out there. You have to be more intentional. You have to be more focused. You have to come up with content to share. But if you do that, it's going to make the whole process a lot easier. So on a daily basis, if you've already covered your bases with social media automation, you still want to determine like an ideal number of posts that you want to be putting out there, and then work to accomplish that. And part of social media is not just posting content, but also interacting. And it can be kind of tough when you're first starting off on social media because you may not have that much interaction. You might be posting out on Facebook and nobody's responding to your message. Nobody's commenting. Nobody's liking. It takes time to build a presence on social media. And this is another reason why you want to have ongoing engagement, where you want to have ongoing visibility, where you're posting, because Facebook especially rewards constant interaction. If you just suddenly disappear off the map and then come back, what ends up happening is that you're kind of at the bottom of the list in terms of preferences of who Facebook is going to show in the newsfeed. If you are constantly engaging over time, then you're going to be at the top of the newsfeed. You're going to pop up. People are going to be commenting and interacting. That's not something that you can just accomplish overnight. You do have to reach a certain size of a network in terms of the number of friends that you have on Facebook before you can really create a lot of engagement. So just realize that it can feel a little bit like pounding your head against the wall initially. You could be working at it for years before you get kind of huge results. Now, there are shortcuts. For instance, on your business Facebook page, you can do Facebook advertising. So, if you have an unlimited budget, you could create instant interaction and engagement just by paying for your posts to show up in the newsfeed. So there are shortcuts, but if you want to build kind of an organic presence where over time people are finding you and interacting with you, that does take time and effort. It does require building a network, and not just a network of any people, but a network of your ideal clients, people who are interested in hearing from you and want to respond to you.
Yeah, that's an important distinction, isn't it? It's not just people that you get along with and whose posts you enjoy, but you want to look for people who could be potential clients, right?
Right.
And I know it's easy for me to get caught up in the social side of it, and I find people, I really like this post, and so we start chatting about this or that, and we share each other's posts, but they don't have anything to do with business.
Right. Well, and that's okay, because there is definitely a relationship building aspect to social media. I mean, one of the things with social media is you do have to be responsive in the moment. So you have to go and take a look at what's going on right now and jump in. So you don't always have your choice of what to participate in. Sometimes it's kind of limited in terms of what's out there. So you want to look for opportunities where you can insert yourself into a conversation and communicate, whether it be inside a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group, or just going out to Twitter and seeing what's available to retweet. So there's an aspect of social media which is just dependent on what's going on. And at the same time, you also control what messages that you share. And sometimes when you put things out there, people are going to interact with you, and sometimes they won't. And oftentimes I'll post something on Facebook in particular, and if I don't get a response within about a half an hour, I will hide that message and I'll post something else, because clearly that if I didn't get at least one like, then the message didn't connect with people. And so it's like, okay, well, on to the next one. If that one didn't work, let me find something else. And
that's interesting. So you actually hide it from your newsfeed then? Yeah,
there are ways, especially on Facebook, where you can control the audience of who sees a particular message. Facebook allows you some great privacy controls to be able to control who sees your message. So on an individual post, you could either make it visible to the public, you can make it visible just to friends, you can make it visible to friends except acquaintances, you can make it visible to just a particular group within your network. You could create a custom list and make it only available to a couple people, Or the most private would be on only me, which means only you can see it. And then beyond that, you could just delete the post. And that's another option as well.
And you do that from your personal profile as well as from your page?
Well, that's on your personal profile. Your business
okay.
page, they have actually allowed some more controls in terms of who sees it. You don't have as much fine-tuning control as on your personal page, though. So, but you know, generally with your business page, it is information that's more public. So the other thing with your business page is you do get metrics and what they call insights on Facebook, on your business Facebook page, which will show you what kind of interaction that you're getting. So there is some value in leaving your posts up just for that reason alone. But you could always, you know, if you don't get an interaction, just post something else.
But you don't take it down from the business page then?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know a lot of my stuff, you know, with Facebook's new algorithm, there very few people end up seeing some of those posts. So.
Well, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's really tough to get engagement on your business page these days. I can remember back years ago, I could put something out on my business page and get a lot of interaction and activity. With your business page, you do need to be more intentional about ways to drive traffic to posts. So you need to leverage your other networks, your other social media networks, and also email to drive traffic to particular Facebook posts. One little tip, advanced tip that I'll share for your viewers is that Facebook, as well as other sites like Twitter, they give you a permalink for each individual post, which means you could take that permalink, you could send out an email message with that link, and you could send people directly to that post, and you could ask them to go comment on that post. So you have to be more focused and intentional about how to drive traffic to a particular post and get people to interact with you.
Yeah, I know when you showed us recently in one of your classes where to find that permalink, that was really exciting to me. So I have started using that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a real effective tool, and a lot of people don't even know what's out there.
Great. Well, Rick, you mentioned earlier about the, you know, if Facebook puts your posts lower in the newsfeed if you're not actively involved, do they also limit what you see? Because I think I've noticed when I've been absent for a few days or whatever, then when I come back in, I'm not seeing as many people in my newsfeed as I normally do. So there's not much to interact with either at that point.
Right. Yeah, it's the Facebook algorithm is really complex. I mean, it used to be we understood the factors that were involved in the Facebook algorithm, and then they updated it and it went to something like 167 different criteria, which determines what shows up in your newsfeed. Plus, on top of that, you do have some control. You can select, you know, you have some control over what you see. You also have fine-tuning control where you can actually go to somebody's page. You can be friends with somebody, but you could unfollow them, and that will eliminate their posts from your newsfeed. So that's a really nice feature. If you see posts from people that, you know, you want to be friends with them, but you don't like what they post, then just unfollow them. So you're still friends. You can still send them private messages. You can invite them to Facebook events, but you don't have to see their posts in your newsfeed. So that can be helpful. But yeah, there's so many different factors that are involved. And in fact, there's even a difference between if you're liking on posts versus commenting on posts. I read an article one time that from somebody who said that previously they used to, you know, like a bunch of things that they saw on their newsfeed. Then they stopped liking things. They started commenting on things, and the quality of the posts that they started seeing was better. I thought that was kind of interesting, an interesting notice. So there's
interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah, but the like and the comment and the share are all interactions. Even private messages factor into it. Facebook pays attention to who you're communicating with most, and often that will prioritize that person's messages into your newsfeed. So,
you know, speaking of commenting, I do pretty often leave a comment on someone's post, but then one of the things I've discovered is then I start getting notified every time somebody else makes a comment on that post. So then I always have to remember to go back in and turn off the notifications for that specific post.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just drives me crazy hearing that coming all the time.
Well, yeah, and you can also go into Facebook and you can control what you get notifications on, because Facebook will also notify you by email in a lot of cases, and so that creates a lot of email. So I would definitely go through the privacy controls and the settings and adjust what you're getting emails on, because you don't need to get emails on every little activity that happens on Facebook. I like to get the notifications where someone tags me in a post. Like if they comment and they tag me in a post, I want to make sure that I can go out and see those.
Yeah, I think that's about how I have mine set too now. Well, Rick, let's diverge a little bit here and talk about some of the new players in the social media world. I know you've been making use of Periscope and I think Blab too, right? So
yes.
How do you coordinate that with your social media?
Well, both of those are video live streaming platforms. The difference is that Periscope allows you to broadcast from your mobile phone. And in fact, the way that you sign up for Periscope is through the mobile app. Now, Periscope is owned by Twitter, so make sure that when you go to install Periscope, you first have the Twitter app installed and that you're logged in. And ideally, you also want to select a Periscope ID that is consistent with your Twitter ID. So for instance, my Twitter ID is @Rick Cooper. And so when I went to set up Periscope, I selected @Rick Cooper as my username for Periscope. Blab is actually accessible through your computer, a desktop computer, a laptop computer with a webcam. And so you're broadcasting onto Blab through your computer. A couple other differences are with Periscope, typically, well, you're broadcasting from your phone, and so it's primarily just going to be you on camera. Whereas Blab, you can actually have up to 4 different people on camera, all at different locations, and Blab coordinates all the details for that. So you could just do 2 people if you want to, which is great for an interview format. So just like we're doing recording creative marketing TV on a Google Hangout, you could do a Blab. And in that case, as people are watching, you would see kind of 2 different images on screen, 2 different cameras visible on there, or up to a total of 4 people, which makes it great if you want to do like a host with 3 other interviewers, or even like a radio show format with 4 different presenters where they're all interacting in conversation.
Yeah, I have seen that on Blab, and I like that format. I think that's the one I'm going to start experimenting with a little bit.
Right.
Because I prefer doing it from my computer rather than from my phone.
Right.
And I like the way that Blab lays it out with the 4 people on the screen together. Right. That looks nice to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I assume that actually I've seen that you promote your Periscope recordings and the live events through your social media, right? So they all sort of work back and forth together, don't they?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I share what's going on my Periscope broadcasts out on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I even put it up on Pinterest, so you can cross promote the information that you're sharing. And really, one thing that we haven't touched on so far is content marketing. So in social media, content is king. Content is information that adds value. So part of what you should be doing through your social media marketing is creating content and then sharing it. That could be blog posts, that could be articles, it could be online videos. So what's interesting about a site like a social media site like Periscope and Blab is that participating on the site actually creates content. When you broadcast on Periscope, that records a video. That video is available for 24 hours on Periscope. In addition to that, you can also use a site called catch.me to be able to record your broadcast. Then you could download your broadcast and use that broadcast to publish out on YouTube, for instance. So you can repurpose that video content. On Blab, it will record a video of your broadcast. Then you can take that video, download it, and upload it to YouTube. So you can kind of cross share that content onto other platforms like YouTube and leverage it. You could also actually go through and you could extract out segments from it. So I mean, you could turn a 1-hour Blab into say 5 3-minute segments. You could pull out different sections of the broadcast and then put those up as short videos. So there's all sorts of ways to leverage and repurpose that content and then share it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I love about having started this creative marketing TV show last year, is that it does create content for me.
Right.
And I don't have to come up with all the ideas or even write them or speak them myself. I get my guests to create the content for me.
Absolutely.
So it definitely helps. And then with Google Hangouts, of course, it automatically saves it to my YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I do use that strategy you're talking about of creating excerpts from it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I add a link at the end of the excerpt to point people to the full interview if they want to see more.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so easy. I mean, you know, when we first started off with content marketing many years back, it was primarily written content. And over time, it has really shifted more toward a video and, as you know, visual images. So much of what you see in your newsfeed a lot of times is a picture or a video or something else beyond just text. And so you need to evolve your social media marketing strategy over time. Text still performs brilliantly in a lot of cases. Like some of my favorite posts on Facebook are actually questions. I just put up a question and then I get a lot of people to respond to that. And there's a value in doing it. In fact, that's one of the reasons why you need a social media plan, is that you need to figure out what you need to be sharing over time and what is the mix. You know, how many quote images should you be sharing? How many videos should you be sharing? How many blog posts should you share? How many quotes should you share? So you want to figure out kind of the quantity and then also the frequency of what you should be sharing, and then create a formula that's unique to you, and then follow that formula consistently day after day.
Yeah, that's great. I'll just put a little plug in here, since you're talking about the importance of using video in social media, which I think everybody agrees that they need to, but maybe
Right.
not everybody has actually started doing it.
Right.
I'm doing, the way I'm doing my show for this year, I've increased the number of interviews, but I'm still reserving the first Saturday of every month to do a training session because I really enjoy doing those.
Right.
And this coming one for February 6th, I'm going to be showing people several new ways to add video that are very easy. They don't require getting on camera, doesn't even require PowerPoint slides, just some new techniques that make it much easier to get real short videos that can go right into your social media stream. So
yeah, you know, you bring up an excellent point, and I wanted to just kind of prompt in an example. My mentor, Eric Lofholm, who's a sales trainer, has recently begun doing a series of daily calls, and it's a motivational sales message. And what he's doing it on a conference call. He's recording it from a bridge line, and then he takes that audio and he puts it up onto YouTube with just a little PowerPoint slide layered over the, on screen, so people kind of see the contact information if they want to follow up and get more details. And then it's just the audio recording from the conference call layered over that. People can listen in. And so there are all sorts of ways that you can create videos. So don't feel that it has to be just you on camera like this, because, you know, for a lot of people, they're a little bit uncomfortable being on camera. So one thing I would recommend is that you will get better over time. The more that you get into the process of creating content and adding value, the more that you experiment and try out different things, it's going to get you outside your comfort zone. You're going to get more comfortable, and you'll eventually evolve to the point that you can do that. But there's all sorts of ways that you can get into action and create video without having to be on camera.
Yes, that's true. And like what Eric is doing, it sounds like probably needs some video editing to put those pieces together, but there are some
Right.
There are some free online video editors too for people who want to get started at a reasonable or free cost.
Right.
Plus, there are some techniques that don't even require any video editing. So,
excellent.
Rick, I think one thing I wanted to hear you talk about that we haven't quite touched on yet is how can people actually use social media to generate leads for their business? We all kind of know that you're not supposed to be out there selling stuff all the time on Facebook, right. But you know, how do you use it for your business to help grow your business?
Well, first of all, remember that content marketing is part of an overall lead generation strategy. If you have a blog that has an opt-in box where people can go opt into your email list, then part of the strategy of writing blog content and sharing those blog posts out on social media will help to send people out to your website where they have an opportunity to opt in. And that could be an opt-in box in the sidebar of your website. It could be an opt-in box that appears in the footer of the website. It could even be a pop-up box that comes up with an opportunity for you to be able to opt in to get some type of a free offer. So
and if I can interrupt there, it can also be a hyperlink in the text of the blog post that takes you to another page with the opt-in.
Right, exactly. So I think what you have to realize is part of the strategy of generating leads is creating content and getting people out to your website on a regular basis where it provides the opportunity for them to opt in. Beyond that, yes, there are some ways. Like, I'll give you an example. You can share a post on your Facebook business page for some type of a free offer. Like, for instance, I have a free report on 10 ways to monetize social media. So if I wanted to share that on Facebook, I would go out and type a message. I would probably say something like, are you interested in generating better results on social media? Download a copy of my free report on 10 ways to monetize social media. Go to socialmediaoutcomes.com/monetize social. socialmediaoutcomes.com/monetize social. It would include the link, and then Facebook would go out and grab an image from the page and include a little excerpt from the page, and then that would post out to my business Facebook page. And then that would appear in people's newsfeed as they're reading their messages or their posts.
Mm-hmm. And then a few hours later, maybe you can share it from your business page to your personal page, right?
Yes.
I know I do that. I'm not sure how much you do, but
yeah, so part of what you have to be concerned about with Facebook is not to promote your business directly on your personal Facebook page. So you don't want to be posting about your business directly on your personal page, but you can share things over from your business page to your personal page. Facebook doesn't necessarily distinguish between something you're sharing from your own page versus somebody else. So they're not going to, block you from being able to share other content. They just don't want you posting it directly. Some people's pages that you go to, all you see is business posts. And Facebook does shut down those accounts, or they'll convert them into a business page over time, which means you lose all of your friends. You lose access to send them private messages. You lose access to be able to invite them to a Facebook event. So that's a bad thing. So by making sure that you're posting about your business on your business page and then sharing to your personal page periodically, then that's a much better approach. And then beyond that, it's using Facebook ads. It's either doing a promoted post where you take a specific post from your business page and you promote it, or whether you're doing a Facebook ad that appears in the sidebar on Facebook.
That's great. Yeah, and we need to get ready to wrap up here, but I know one of the strategies that I learned from you that I really like using is making a spreadsheet with a list of some people that I think would be good target clients for me, and sort of keeping track of how much I interact with them, so I remember whose posts do I want to look for to share or comment on,
Yeah, absolutely. Social media, part of social media is social networking. So being intentional about, it's just like if you go to a networking event and there's 100 people in there, maybe there's only 10 people you really want to talk to and connect with. If you walk in and just randomly walk around, then you're not likely to meet the people that you want to. But if you walk in knowing who you want to meet and connect with, you can be more intentional about going to them specifically and initiating a conversation. So I do recommend using spreadsheets in a lot of cases to keep track of things. And also, if you're just responding to what's going on, where people are commenting on your own page, oftentimes you're just attracting people who are interested in you, which is great, but they may not be your ideal clients. So by being intentional, by being focused and creating a list and then following up on that list, then it helps you to reach out and make personal connections with them over time.
And to remind yourself that that's really why you're out there, is to get leads, right? Not just to be social. So that's a great place to wrap up. I think I like that summary, Rick. You mentioned earlier a URL where people could get a free offer. Is that the one that you would like to offer them today? If so, why don't you go ahead and repeat that?
Absolutely, yes. If you'd like to download a copy of my free report on 10 ways to monetize social media, you can go out to my website at socialmediaoutcomes.com/monetize social. socialmediaoutcomes.com/monetize social. I do also recommend that you follow me out on Twitter. Go to twitter.com/Rick Cooper. I share a lot of great tips and resources, as well as links out to blog posts there.
Good. And if Rick has time later today, I'll get him to put a comment on the replay page too, so people can just click on the link to get that offer. That will
Absolutely.
make it easy for them. Well, thank you, Rick. If there's any last minute tip that maybe I didn't ask you about that you wanted a chance to share, what might that be?
Well, I think there's a value in creating branded content over time, of actually putting your logo or your website address in graphic images. I know that's something that you teach a lot, so I do recommend that people do that. But make sure that you're using visual images in your social media marketing, whether it be to share an image on Facebook or Twitter. And keep in mind the format and the format for the size of pictures and the whether it's horizontal or whether it's a rectangular image or a square image, varies from one site to another. But Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you can share images on LinkedIn, Pinterest. These are all great sites to be sharing pictures. So make sure that you're connecting with Susan and learning strategies from her around creating visual images and then putting those out on social media.
Great. Thank you, Rick. Well, thank you so much for your time this morning and for speaking to my audience of entrepreneurs and professionals and small business owners. It's been a real pleasure having you on, and I hope people will take some advice from what you've told them and put a little plan together for how to get more accomplished with their social media this year.
Excellent. Absolutely. Thanks, Susan. Glad to be here.
Thanks.